Welcome back. This is Mr. Hassan's Maths channel, and I'm now answering question number 18 from the 0580 specimen paper B 2025 new syllabus from Cambridge IGCSE. This is the paper 2 non-calculator paper. And first of all, 18 part A, part 1, write x squared minus 8x plus 10 in the form x minus a squared minus b. So basically what we have to do here is we have to write this in this form, which is called, the form where the square has been completed the square form. Now, in order to do that, there's a couple of methods we could use. The most common method, and the method that I would personally use myself, would be to take your x squared minus 8x plus 10. Now, to complete the square, I need to have a bracket that's squared. That when I square the bracket, I'm going to get this. Okay? So what I like to do first is just concentrate on the first two terms, x squared minus 8x. Just those first two terms. So I know that when I square a bracket, okay, then, this term is going to get squared, so I'm going to get x squared. And this term is going to be multiplied by this and doubled. So if this is an x here, then I just have to basically, this number here has to be doubled. And this term is going to be negative, because that's negative. And there's going to be a 4 here. If I square this bracket, I'm going to get x squared minus 8x, because you have x minus 4 times x minus 4. So you have x times x squared, x times minus 4, minus 4x, and then minus 4 times x would also give you minus 4x. So I'll end up with minus 8x. But then what I'll have is, I'll have something else. Okay, if I square this bracket, I'm going to get x squared minus 8x, but then I'm going to get plus 16. Now, I don't want a plus 16. I don't want the plus 16 there. In fact, I want plus 10 there, but I can think about that later on. What I can do is first, let's start by getting rid of that plus 16. I don't want the 16, so I'm going to take away 16. So you always take away the square of this number. So whenever you complete the square, you take the x squared and x term, and you write a bracket which is squared. You have to make sure it says 1x squared first, which it does, that's fine. It says 1x squared. Okay, you have x, inside the bracket x, and then if there's a minus, there's a minus. If there's a plus, you write plus. And then whatever the coefficient of x is, you write half of that coefficient, without the x, of course. And then you always take away the square of the number inside the bracket. It doesn't matter if there was a plus here or minus here, you always take away the square of the number inside the bracket. Now this and what I've highlighted above, these are exactly the same. These two are the same, exactly. Okay, if I expand this, I'm going to get that. But of course, this expression has a plus 10 at the end, so I should write plus 10 at the end. So I end up with x minus 4 squared, and minus 16 plus 10 is minus 6. X minus 4 squared and minus 6. Okay, so there's the expression written in this form. Now, another way of doing this actually is as follows, which I'm going to show. X squared minus 8x plus 10 equals, and what you can do is you can expand this bracket. So x minus a squared is going to be x squared, and then you're going to have minus 2 times ax, and you're going to have plus a squared. And then at the end you have a minus b. So this part and this part is the same thing. But when you expand this bracket, you get x squared, and then you multiply these together and double it, minus 2ax plus a squared. You can do it the long way. You could multiply x minus a times x minus a. You'll see you get x squared minus ax minus another ax, which is minus 2ax plus a squared. And then what we can do here, we can do next, is we can compare what I call the coefficients. Okay, we can compare the coefficients. So what I can do is I can say, the x squared have the same coefficient, but I can compare, for example, the x terms. If I compare the x terms, I have minus 8 on this side, and I have minus 2ax on this side, which means minus 8 must be the same as minus 2ax, which means minus 8x must be the same as minus 2ax. So I can't write the x there. So the coefficient of x squared of x on this side is minus 8. The coefficient of x on this side is minus 2a. So you can say A is going to be equal to 4. Okay, so A is going to be equal to 4, right? So I can write here 4. Okay, so I have X minus 4. All right, it's a minus Y because there's a minus here already. So A is 4, so that's going to be minus 4. Okay, and then for B, I can say that the constant term here is 10. So you can say 10, and that's equal to the constant on this side, which is A squared minus B. And I know A is 4 already, so 10 is equal to 4 squared, which is 16, minus B. So if I rearrange this, B is going to be 16 minus 10, which is 6. So I know that that's going to be 6 here, so it's minus 6. Okay, because that says minus there, there's a minus there, so it's going to be 6. All right, so both ways are perfectly fine. You can do it by comparing the coefficients, or you can do it by completing the square. Whichever way you decide to do it, you end up with x minus 4 squared minus 6. So then it says sketch the graph of y equals x squared minus 8x plus 10. On the graph, they want you to label the coordinates of the turning point and the y-intercept. Okay. So now in this question, we're not required to actually put the x-intercepts. It's just the y-intercept. So the equation, when we completed the square, we ended up with x minus 4 squared minus 6. So from this, we can work out the vertex. The vertex is always whatever makes this bracket 0 from the x, which is 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. And whatever's left on the outside from the y, which is negative 6. Those are the coordinates of the vertex. Okay, 4, negative 6. That's where it's going to cross through that's where it's going to turn, basically, the vertex. And we can see that this is a smiley face because it has a positive x squared. So it's going to turn upwards like this. And we also know that it's going to cross the y-intercept when the y-axis crosses the y-axis when x equals 0. When x equals 0, we can see y is equal to 10. So it's going to go through 0, 10 on the y-axis, and it's going to turn at 4 minus 6. So it's going to go below the x-axis. It's going to go below the x-axis because it's going to turn somewhere down here, 4 minus 6. Okay, so we know it's going to look something like this. Okay, it's going to look something like this. It's going to turn at 10 and at 4, negative 6. All right, so it's going to have this type of shape. So I'm just going to draw it, and then afterwards we can put the values in. I know it's going to go something like this, and like that. So that's going to be 4, that's negative 6, and that's 10. Okay, something like that. But I'm not very happy with that, to be honest. It looks a bit, doesn't look right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it again. Okay. So I don't really like the way they've given I would have drawn the y-axis further this way, giving myself more space. I'm going to make it a bit narrower than before, but I'm going to draw a parabola. I'm going to make sure it crosses the y-axis somewhere over here. I'm going to make sure it turns somewhere over here. Okay, so I'm going to draw it like this, maybe make it a bit steeper. Okay, it doesn't have to be 100% accurate, as long as it looks like the correct type of shape. So this is going to be 10. And this is going to be 4 and negative 6. That's the vertex. 4, negative 6. Okay. Now, they didn't require us to draw or to give the y-intercepts. If they did, we'd have to solve this equation, and it would look like it would be in third form, but they didn't ask us to do that. If they did say find the y-intercept, I would put x minus 4 squared minus 6 equals 0, x minus 4 squared equals 6, x minus 4 squared equals 6. So x minus 4 would be plus or minus the square root of 6. So x would be 4 plus or minus the square root of 6. So that would be 4 plus root 6, and that would be 4 minus root 6. Those would be the two x-intercepts. But the question did not require us to give those. Okay, so that's fine. All right, so that's how we can draw a sketch of this graph. We've labeled the coordinates of the turning point, and we've labeled the y-intercept. Make you label it more carefully than that. Okay, that's going to be 10. So all of that information that we're asked to give is given. All right. Now, some people will say, why is, when we write it in this form, why is it this the turning point? Okay, why is this the turning point? We can also find the turning point by differentiation, by the way, okay, by differentiating this. But because we already wrote it in this form here, it's easy to just use that form. But if you wanted to do it by differentiation, you could. You could say dy dx equals 2x minus 8. What's happened to my writing there? You could say dy dx, when you differentiate, you find the gradient, is equal to 2x minus 8. So when it turns, at the point where it turns, the gradient is 0. So 2x minus 8 equals 0. So 2x equals 8, so x equals 4. And the y value you can do by put it back in here. So you're going to have 16 minus, that's going to be 8 times 4, which is 32. That's minus 16 plus 10. Minus 16 plus 10 is minus 6. So you get the same coordinates by differentiating, equating the gradient function to 0, and substituting the x value back into the original equation. You get the same coordinates. But because we already completed the square, this is much easier to use this. But why is it? If I rewrite it in this form, hopefully you'll understand why. Okay, now we can see here this expression, minus 6 plus x minus 4 squared. So you're always going to be adding something to negative 6. This thing here will never be negative. Okay, because whatever goes in here is going to be squared. So even if it's something negative in here, when you square it becomes positive. So you're going to have negative 6 plus something always. You'll never go below negative 6. This expression can never go below negative 6, as you can see from the graph. Okay, the smallest amount that you can add to the negative 6 is 0. Why? Because if this is 0, you'll have minus 6 plus 0. When does this become 0? When does this expression become 0? When will you have minus 6 plus 0? That's when x equals 4. When x equals 4, this becomes 0, and you're left with y equals negative 6. That's why 4, negative 6 is the vertex. Okay, so that's how we can understand to find the vertex. You just put the value of x that makes the bracket 0, and whatever's left on the outside, that's the y coordinate of the vertex. So there's the answer to part 2. That's all. A is complete. Now part B is more to do differentiation. So what I'll do is I'll save that under a separate video dealing with differentiation. So if you'd like to see that part of the video, you can watch, you can go to the playlist here and find it. That playlist is for the rest of this whole paper. Other questions from this particular topic of, I've put this under graph sketching, will be in the playlist over here. You can, and I'll also put it under completing the square. Okay, there will be a playlist here for that. And you can subscribe to my channel by clicking on this link here. Thank you for watching and see you soon.